I feel there's a principle of religious liberty involved, and it's something that my forefathers and this country have fought and died for.
Our government was formed to be freedom's greatest protector, not its greatest threat.
And within a few hours, I'm being threatened with the closure of my business.
But for the Vanderboon family in Michigan, government bureaucrats are going after both their freedom and their ability to make a living, simply for offering a point of view on marriage that differs from the government's.
I believe marriage is between one man and one woman, and I get those beliefs from the Bible.
Just after the Supreme Court decision on same-sex marriage, Don Vanderboon walked through the break room at his family's beef company. He saw newspapers with headlines and opinions full of support for same-sex unions, but none for God's plan for marriage. After reading an article that offered a different viewpoint, one supporting marriage as the union of one man and one woman, Don decided to print off a copy and add it to the other materials on the break room table.
It was simply discussing what God's design was for marriage. It was discussing what practical implications there were to allowing same-sex marriage.
Don's faith informed not only his beliefs about marriage, but also how he ran his business and treated his employees.
From the very beginning, we started the business really in faith and made it clear to employees as we hired them that we run our business according to Christian principles.
But Don never anticipated that his article would threaten his livelihood.
And they called me into my own office. They shut both my doors and took this article that I had printed and put it on the table in my office and proceeded to ask me if I was going to leave that article on the break room table, because if I was, they were going to immediately remove the USDA inspectors from this facility.
And with the inspectors, so goes the much-needed USDA stamp of approval.
And so if the USDA removes the stamp and their inspectors, then I'm immediately unable to operate.
How could the government official assigned to keep an eye on the meat production process threaten to close a business because the owner put an article in the break room?
So the USDA's mission is to ensure a safe food supply for the consumers in the United States. And their mission is not to be monitoring my break room tables to see whether I have violated some speech codes that they've developed.
Surely there had to be a mistake. Americans don't need to leave their faith at the door when they go to work, do they? Well, Don found out the USDA has a regulation that says they do.
The USDA policy says that federal bureaucrats can determine what speech is disrespectful and insulting and restrict that speech. And the First Amendment does not allow them to do that.
That's right. According to the USDA, stating a belief about marriage that is held true throughout the course of human history became unlawful harassment just days after the same-sex marriage decision.
And I was told I need to leave my faith, my religious convictions at the door when I come to a public business like this.
For more than a year now, Don has received nothing from the USDA but the runaround.
I always feel like now I have Big Brother watching over me, and it just makes me hesitant, and I'm always feeling like it's never been resolved, and so I'm still under this threat.
He's had to surrender his First Amendment freedoms in order to keep his doors open, a price no American should ever have to pay.
It's made me realize how quickly we can lose our religious liberty. I never dreamed that I would have this experience and that I would have USDA personnel telling me that I had to choose between putting an article on my break room table or my business. This is my wonderful wife, Ellen, my wife of 25 years.
And that's when Don and his family turned to Alliance Defending Freedom.
We sent a letter to President Trump asking him to rectify the situation and to sign a robust religious freedom executive order, because that order would protect people like Don Vanderboon in exactly these kinds of situations.
Many Americans have asked the president to quickly sign the order and follow through on his campaign promise to make religious freedom a first priority.